the American Republic, such as it is, the American Empire, your own standing, you're really treading on thin ice. And we're doing it every day now, every day. And I can't see that Trump and Hegseth and others in the administration, the Waltz, for example, I can't see that they understand how truly weak we are militarily. And what they're doing is making us weaker, not stronger. This is a recipe across human history for 3,000 years, in one way or another, for the disintegration of empire. It doesn't make any sense unless you're saying, okay, history says all empires do this. We're doing it. We're going to disappear. The problem there, Nima, the huge problem is no empire in human history has ever had nuclear weapons. None. Nada. Nil. Not a single one. De rien, as the French would say. We do. Several other countries, 8 other countries do too. We have the ability to destroy human civilization and ourselves with it. That makes us disappearing from the scene. That makes us collapsing. That makes us turning into a joke. Very serious. Very serious.
Larry, it seems that the way that Russia is talking right now, the way that Donald Trump is just continuing these negotiations, they talk in Saudi Arabia again. Do you think that the way that, on the other hand, you see Zelensky is doing whatever he wants to do? I don't know who's running the show in Ukraine.
Starmer, Macron, and Merz soon. They're running the show.
Is the Trump administration concerned about what they're doing?
They have to be if they're thinking. But then again, I have to say, as I've alluded to earlier, they're not thinking. It's almost as if they have stovepiped these things. Ukraine's here, Houthis are here, Iran is here. Maybe there's a couple other things I'm going to talk about. There's Japan and Korea in the other direction. Yeah, we got to go there. I don't see that there's any strategy that puts it all together. I don't see any strategy at all other than Trump's quest for a Nobel Peace Prize. That's another reason why the Iran nuclear deal might be concluded on Trump's watch. He covets this. He lusts for a Peace Prize because Obama got one. A black man. Ooh, Petey, how does that make you feel? A black man got the Nobel Peace Prize. The only black president America's had got a Nobel Peace Prize. That irritates some of these people because fundamentally some of these people are white supremacists. I don't put Petey Hegseth too far from that category either. So, all of these things are impacting, which should not be impacting American foreign and security policy now. These people are rank amateurs. That's the only way I can look at it. And that includes Waltz. It includes Witkoff, though he's a mild-mannered man, and I kind of like him. That includes Trump himself. It includes Hegseth. It includes almost everyone in the administration. It includes Bondi. The whole group. They are rank amateurs.
Larry, there is an article in Italian, in this Italian newspaper. It says Corriere della Sera.
Yes, know that. I know that well. It's one of its editors, and I talk a lot.
In this article, they say if Ukraine rejects peace agreements between Russia and the United States, and Ukraine being part of it, it shows the map of Ukraine. How can it go? Russia would include Kharkov and Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev, and Odessa. And it goes all to Kiev. And it's unbelievable, Larry, that you look at the way that the Biden administration was incapable of making some sort of agreement. And right now, Trump is just, I don't know what they're doing and how powerful are they in terms of forcing Europeans. But it doesn't seem that it doesn't seem that much easy that Donald Trump was talking about.
No, and I think what I've said before, and I said this yesterday in Berlin. There are not representative governments in Europe right now. So whatever and by that I simply mean the governments in power at this moment in most of the European countries that count do not represent the majority of their people. And that's a combination of things. It's the political system they have, Germany. It's the regime they have, Macron. It's I don't know about Britain. Britain seems to me to have lost its way. Not Britain, but England seems to have lost its way. So you're looking at an almost eruption that's going to take place when that settles, when we do get governments in Europe that represent the majority of their people. The first thing those governments are going to have to respond to is, if it actually takes off, is this increased spending on defense, because that's going to be absolutely negative for their fairly luxurious social programs. And that people are going to object to that majorly. The second thing they're going to have to look at is, does what these governments that are in power right now, working principally for the United States, but rebuffed by Trump, as it were, and now working for themselves, but on the same kind of agenda for which they do not have the resources. I asked yesterday, propensity to serve in the United States right now is about 9%. What's it in Germany? What's it in France? So you're going to build all these things. You're going to increase your expenditures. Who's going to fight for you? Do you have higher than 9% propensity to serve in your 18 to 24-year-olds? Look at Ukraine. What's the greatest deficit Ukraine has? People power. People on the front lines. People to fight. People to do the grudge work of infantry, despite all this high-tech stuff. It's Ukraine's greatest deficit. Jake Sullivan even said this in a moment of truth. Ukraine, after all, doesn't have the manpower to match Russia. Well, you're going to build all these systems maybe, and you're going to increase your spending. Have you checked with your 18 to 24-year-olds? Are they going to be conscripted? Are they going to join your armies that are going to fight people that don't want to fight you, but you're going to make them want to fight you, Russians in particular? These are questions Europeans haven't asked themselves. And von der Leyen at the EU, she's just a warmonger. And so is most of the EU. This is going to go. It's going to wash away. And then you're going to be looking at a totally different Europe. And my concern there is that not only will we have severed the transatlantic link, and not only will we have no real people in Europe with whom we can deal on a daily basis, we'll have governments that detest us, governments that hate us because we will have done this to them. And you're going to see a whole new relationship across the Atlantic. I don't think that's good. I think it might not be good simply because if Europe does, over a decade or two, develop its own security identity, and it's a fractured and disparate security identity, what is the history of Europe in that regard? Fighting one another. So we're back to the past in terms of history. People aren't thinking about these things. They're not thinking ahead of their nose. They're not thinking ahead of next election or next year or whatever. They need to start thinking about the future. They need to start thinking about a robust security architecture that I keep saying has to include Russia for Europe. There's no reason why that has to be divorced from the United States. It wasn't the plan in 1991 and 92 and 93 when we had sane people in charge in Washington. The plan was to have Russia and Europe together. And then would we even be worried about Russian gas? Would we even be worried about Russia going with China? You know, Russia has a decision to make, as it always has had throughout history. It can go either way. It's in both camps. It's such a vast country, 11 time zones, such a vast country. It's half in Asia and half in Europe. And it can make a decision. And we're forcing it to make a decision to go with the eastern half. That's the way power's moving. And if I were Russia, I would probably think seriously about more of my attention being that way than the other way. But that's not Russia's want. Russia wants to look towards the West. It wants to be a part of the West. And we're the ones who've rebuffed them, we in Europe.